North Bank region and Kerawa near Sapo, CRR. This is also being done alongside the construction and rehabilitation of over 30 seed stores nationwide, backed by capacity building programs on seed store management, seed multiplication and pesticide handling. As we enter a new year, hopes are that the rather erratic rainfall pattern that characterized 2011 will not repeat itself. Famara Fofana, Grts.
Well, Abubakar, food self-sufficiency. How do you think the Gambia can come about achieving it?
Ajami, the Gambia has been performing very well when it comes to trying to satisfy itself in terms of food. The President Jammeh's call for Gambians to go back to the land has paid indeed dividend. But by virtue of the poor rainfall pattern last year, we realized that most farmers are unable to harvest enough to cater for themselves and their families. So we only hope that if there's a good rainfall pattern this year and there's more involvement into farming, Gambia, of course, can be the food basket of the sub-region, for sure.
Well, since it has something to do with enough food supply, it's positive.
I know you are. You like food too much. That's why you buy that idea. Anyway, the accomplishments of the Ministry of Youth and Sports during the year under review range from infrastructural development to matters that have to do with youth empowerment. Developments on the pitch are among gains made by the ministry. Mamadou S. Jallo visited the Youth and Sports Ministry for a trip down memory lane in the company of the Permanent Secretary, and this is his story.
It has been an eventful year for the Youth and Sports Ministry, full of activities, from the controversial GNOC elections to the excellent performance in the ECOWAS Wrestling Championship in Dakar, and to the disappointing performances of the Scorpions in the African Nations qualifiers, culminating in the termination of Paul Putt's contract. Those were some of the major talking points of 2011 in Gambian sports. The desired results on the pitch was hard to come by, with the exception of the wrestling team, who came out third out of 15 West African countries in the sub-regional wrestling championship. Most of the other sporting disciplines have struggled in their respective domains. Nonetheless, the Ministry of Youth and Sports have over the last 12 months invested heavily in youth and sports development initiatives. The sports sector enjoyed a remarkable infrastructural development over the year, key amongst them the multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art artificial turf at the Banjul Mini Stadium and the $17 million lighting project at the country's main football ground.
The Independence Stadium to start with. This year we put in, the government has put in close to $17 million to put in place a state-of-the-art lighting system at the Independence Stadium. And through partnerships, prominently with Farago Foundation, the Manjai Sports Complex has been handed over to the local community after its completion, such that today if you go to Manjai, it can provide you around the clock 24 hours sporting facilities. People can go in there and play football any time of the day and night. That is as well very close to a state-of-the-art facility that you could have anywhere in the world. And we have got an artificial turf placed at the Banjul Mini Stadium. Part of the funds came from the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
The ministry, according to Permanent Secretary Jammeh, has played a pivotal role in empowering youth by instilling in them positive attitudes towards participating in national development by becoming meaningful actors in the socio-economic advancement of the country.
Within this framework of building new partnerships and coordinated youth and sports development, we have succeeded in instilling positive mentality, positive attitude, instilling confidence in young people that yes, there is something for them in this country that they can do. They just needed to get the information which we have been providing them this year, very well. And so we have succeeded in getting young people come up on board to join the bandwagon of national development.
Another of the monumental achievements of the year under review was the ministry's heavy involvement in the president's led anti-hunger crusade. Up to 39 youth farms were cultivated in the last cropping season. Despite these successes, 2011 did not come and go without challenges and obstacles on the way.
The other constraint has been our what we call our disastrous personality politics in sports. You know, we had that situation in our conflict with the GNOC, for example, has been headline news everywhere, almost still a headline news. Ministry of Youth and Sports cannot see eye to eye with the GNOC. It's very unfortunate. You know, this is one family. It's one family. It's not supposed to happen. Why can't people see eye to eye that are working for the same objective? So that has been a big constraint, you know, as well. Personality politics in sports.
Meanwhile, as we usher in the new year, 2012 promises to be another exciting calendar for the Youth and Sports Ministry, with many observers looking forward to the appointment of a Pol Pot replacement, as promised by the authorities, and qualification for CAN 2030 in South Africa will once again remain a priority. 2011 has been a momentous year, an eventful year for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But despite the numerous achievements registered, much effort is needed in 2012 to get Gambian sports to another level. Momodes Jallo, Grts.
The year 2011 was quite momentous for the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education as it strove to attain set development targets like ensuring access to quality education in line with the recently launched program for accelerated growth and employment. Quality, as Louis Mendy tells us, is the central plank of the national education policy.
The end-of-year activity at Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education was greeted with a resounding success, especially in the area of quality education, a fundamental pillar in the Gambia education policy. This accomplishment is underpinned by a combination of factors revealed by the minister.
The main thrust of the policy for the education sector, the current policy is focusing on quality. And I would say that it's improving, although it's not at the level we want it to be yet. But we're putting all hands on deck and putting a lot of resources into it to make sure that we have quality education in the country.
Recognizing the indispensable role of teachers in ensuring quality, the ministry for the past few years allocated a lot of resources to improve the quality of teachers, an initiative that propels them to what they are celebrating today.
When you talk about quality, the teachers are central in that. So a lot of resources is being put in training the teachers to be able to provide the type of teaching that they're supposed to provide. We've been able to get, with support from the World Bank, some resources to put in place an e-learning project which has been contracted to the University of the Gambia. And we expect that teachers will be able to undergo their training knowledge and also pedagogy whilst they are on postings. And they also engage in the face-to-face training program with the University of the Gambia.
The Basic and Secondary Education Minister also acknowledged the positive utilization of the reports gathered during the bi-monthly Education Coordinating Committee meetings as a catalyst to the new development.
In fact, the CCM is keeping everyone on their toes. Every 2 months we move into one of the regions and we expect the directors and all the implementing agencies to report to CCM what they've done from the previous CCM to that current CCM. And we also use the opportunity to go into the schools to see whether what they tell us at CCM is what is on the ground.
The quality determinants used by her ministry as a benchmark for measuring the progress of standard, the minister has this to say.
We basically focus on the learning outcomes of the students that we teach. And that's why we have decided to bring back the national assessment tests in grade 3 and in grade 5 to measure the learning outcome of the kids whilst they progress into the upper levels of the system. As you know, when we used to have common entrance, teachers used to put in a lot of effort. But when it got abolished, everybody relaxed, including the parents. But now we've brought back this national assessment tests in grade 3 and grade 5 to bring that thinking of feeling of examination at that level. But also more